We're going to start something slightly new today. It's still algebra, but we are now solving linear equations with fractions. If you are just watching this video and you haven't watched any of my other videos over the last few weeks and you've decided, okay, I've got to get back into schoolwork, don't start with this video, okay? Go back and get started. Either join the Google Classroom that I have set up, or go back to the emails and go back to like algebra 2 weeks ago, or have a look at the after Easter recap video that was sent out last week, and that will help you catch up to where we are now. Don't start here, okay? Because you need to know some prior knowledge. So if you've missed out, and that's totally cool, that's totally fine, you'll catch up in no time. If you've missed out, please go back to those videos, in particular the after Easter recap, okay? But if you have the time, and I know you do, go back and watch the videos even before that. Watch the early algebra videos, and don't just catch up in your own time. Don't try and do loads, just do a little bit each day. I'll keep sending out the emails, but you will eventually catch up with me. Try and do at least 20 to 30 minutes a day of maths, okay? It'll really help. And the way I want you to do this video is like I've done the other videos. There will be times where I'll tell you to pause it and have a go at sums yourself. Or if you don't feel confident, you can watch me do it, and then there'll be another sum for you to do after that, okay? But you do have to pause the video and you do have to have a go yourself. You won't learn this unless you try it. So just have a bit of scrap paper out so you can work along with me in the video. Okay, so solving linear equations with fractions. We just have to, we'll start off with an example like this, okay? So here we have the fraction on the left-hand side, and we want to solve for x. We want to find out what x is. So 2x minus 1 over 5. This means that 2x minus 1 is being divided by 5, okay? Now, what's the opposite of division? It's multiplication. So if I multiply, and remember, if I want to multiply on the left-hand side, I also have to multiply on the right-hand side. Okay, so I'm going to multiply the term on the left and on the right by 5. Now, what's going to happen here is this 5 and this 5 are going to cancel each other out. Okay, so you're left with just 2x minus 1 equals, and then 5 by 3. So 5 by 3 is 15. Now we just have to solve for x. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of this minus 1, and I'm going to plus 1 to both sides. Plus 1, plus 1. They cancel out. I'm left with 2x on this side, and 15 plus 1 is 16, sorry. Now, I want to get rid of this 2. So this 2 is being multiplied by the x. So if I want to get rid of this 2, I have to do the opposite of multiplication. I have to divide it by 2, but I have to divide both sides by 2. They cancel each other out, and I'm left with x is equal to 16 divided by 2, which is 8. So I have solved for x. Okay? So let's do some practice, okay? I'll just get rid of this and get rid of that, and here we are here. Okay, here are 4 sums, and I want you to have a go and solve for x yourselves. So pause the video now, have a go. If you get stuck, unpause the video, watch me do a sum, or watch me do 2 of them, and then try and do 3 and 4. If you feel confident enough to do them all, just pause the video now, do the sums, and then skip along. Skip about 2 or 3 minutes ahead in the video, and you can check your answers and see where you went wrong. But if you're going to work along, let's work along now, okay? So here we have x over 5, okay, that's our fraction, is equal to 4. So we want to get rid of this 5. So we have to, x is being divided by 5, so we have to multiply 5 on both sides, okay? Now this 5 and this 5 are going to cancel, leaving me with x on this side and 5 multiplied by 4 is 20. So I've solved x is equal to 20. All right, number 2. Again, 5, 3x plus 7 over 5, that's our fraction. So I want to get rid of that 5, so I'm going to multiply 3x plus 7 over 5 equals 5 by 2. I've multiplied both sides by 5. This cancels out, so we're left with 3x plus 7 is equal to 5 multiplied by 2, which is 10. Now we need to solve the rest of the equation. So first I'm going to get rid of this plus 7, so I'll minus 7 both sides. They cancel out, and 10 minus 7 is 3. So we're left with, and excuse the lack of space, we are left with 3x is equal to 10 minus 7, which is 3. Now I want to get rid of this 3. This 3 is being multiplied by this x, so we have to divide, do the opposite, and divide both sides by 3. That cancels with that. So x is equal to 3 divided by 3, which is 1. All right, this one over here, 2x plus 4 over 3. So just like before, we want to get rid of this 3 on the bottom of the fraction. So 2x plus 4 over 3 is equal to 3 multiplied by 6. This 3 and this 3 cancel, so I'm left with 2x plus 4 is equal to 3 by 6, which is 18. So 2x, and then we want to get rid of this 4, so I'm minus 4 from both sides. They cancel, so you're left with 2x is equal to 18 minus 4, which is 14. Now I want to get rid of this 2, so I have to divide both sides by 2. And x is equal to 14 divided by 2, which is 7. And then over here, just like before, we are going to multiply left and right hand side by 5. And they cancel each other out. So we're left with x minus 1 is equal to 5 by 4, which is 20. Now I want to get rid of this minus 1, so I'm going to do the opposite. I'm going to plus 1 to both sides. So you're left with, sorry, I'll just get rid of that. So that cancels. So we're left at x is equal to 20 plus 1, x is equal to 21. So if you're checking your answers and you didn't get it right, have a look and see where you went wrong. Okay? Go through it line by line and see where you went wrong. Okay, we'll go on. Now, what do you do if we have more than one fraction and the number on the bottom is different? In previous sums, if we look at the previous sum here, the number at the bottom was 5. There was no other numbers, so we could just multiply by 5 and that would cancel and that would deal with our fraction. But now we have a few different types of numbers. What we do here is we find the lowest common multiplier, okay, LCM, the lowest common multiplier of these three numbers. So what's the smallest number that all of these divide into evenly? Let's see, okay, 10, 5 would divide into 10, 2 would divide into 10, but 4 wouldn't divide into 10 equally. It's going to be 20 because 20 is the lowest number that 5, 4 and 2 will all divide into. 4 will divide into 20 evenly, so will 5, so will 2. So what we do is we multiply all these fractions by 20, by our lowest common multiplier. And we keep our minus here, and we have 20 multiplied by x over 2. And then we have 20 multiplied by 3 over 4. Okay, now, previously, we had 5 multiplied by 5, they would just cancel out. That's not going to happen here. What we're going to do here is we're going to take this 20 and this 5, and we're going to divide the 20 by the 5, okay? So how many times would 5 go into 20? It would go into 24 times, okay? So we're like simplifying, we are simplifying 20 over 5. And 20 divided by 5 will give you 4. So it's still, the 4 is still there, and it's multiplied by 4x, and then the minus. And this 20 divided by 2 would be 10. So we're left with 10 multiplied by x. And then over here, we have this 4 and this 20. So 4 divides into 25 times, so it's 5 multiplied by 3. So 4 by 4x will be 16x. And then we have minus 10 multiplied by x is minus 10x. And then we are left with 5 multiplied by 3, which is 15. Now we need to solve the equation. So if we subtract 16x minus 10x, we are left with 6x. And that is 6x is equal to 15. Now we need to divide this 6x by 6 and divide the 15 by 6 as well. And if we do that, these cancel, and we are left with x is equal to 15 over 6. Now, this fraction cannot be simplified any further. Well, it could be. We could simplify it to be 15 divided by 6. What divides into both of these numbers? 3 divides into both of these numbers. So 3 divides into 15 5 times. And then 3 divides into 6 2 times. So we could also write x is equal to 5 over 2. Or if you divide 5 by 2, you get 2.5 or 2.5. Any of these answers I'd be happy with at this stage, okay? But in the Leaving Cert, you will need to simplify these fractions or you will be losing marks. Okay, now having done that for you, I want you to try this yourself. So pause the video now and have a go. And if you really can't do it, well, work along with me. But I would prefer you to have a try, okay? All you're doing is wasting paper, and there's plenty of paper. So pause it now and have a go. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to find the lowest common multiplier of these three numbers. And what do all these three numbers divide into? And the answer is 12. 6 will divide into 12 twice, 4 will divide in 3 times, and 3 will divide in 4 times. So we multiply all these by 12. So it's 12 multiplied by x plus 4 over 3 minus, and then we have 12 again multiplied by x plus 2 over 4, and then equal sign 12 multiplied by 7 over 6. Okay, so now we are going to divide these like we did over here, okay? 3 will divide into 12 4 times. So we end up with 4 being multiplied by x plus 4. And then 4 will divide into 12 3 times. Now don't miss the minus, so we're left with minus 3 multiplied by x plus 2. I'm just getting this from here. And then we're left with 12 divided by 6. So we're left with 2 multiplied by 7. Okay, now we need to simplify this. But remember, when you're multiplying a number by something inside a bracket, it's multiplied by both terms. So we're left with 4x plus 16, because 4 multiplied by 4 is 16. And then it's minus 3x, because it's minus 3 multiplied by x, and then minus 3 multiplied by plus 2. So that would be minus 6. And then we're left with 2 7s are 14. Let's tidy this up before we solve the rest of the equation. 4x minus 3x is 1x. or just x. And then plus 16 minus 6 is 10. And the 14, nothing's happened to that, so it's still 14. So all I've done is tidied that up. I have dealt with these constants and I've dealt with these. Okay? And this has stayed the same because there's nothing here that affects it. Now, the 1x can be written as x, so I'm going to write it as x in the next line. But I want this number here on the other side, so I'm going to minus 10 from both sides. So they cancel out, and you are left with x, because 1x is just x, is equal to 14 minus 10, which is 4. Now, the next question that I want you to do is just more of these, okay, where you will have to find the lowest common multiplier. And what we'll do is I will pause it here. I'll finish the video here, and this is your homework, okay? So pause the video, do this, have a go. Even if you get it wrong, just have a go, okay? And then before we start tomorrow's lesson, that's Tuesday, I will go through these, okay? I'll go through the answers. So just have a go at this. If you have your textbooks with you, you can look at other examples in your textbooks. They're on page 8. And they'll show you examples of how it's done. But for homework, do these 4 sums and I will go through the answers tomorrow, okay?